Hello everyone, welcome you all to the test number 12. After 2 days we will be starting test on environment also. We will try to revise or we will try to cover almost questions of last 5 to 6 years in next 5 to 6 days. First question, according to the Constitution of India, which of the following are fundamental for governance of the country? Fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles of state policy, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Here the correct answer is DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy. Here you have to remember few important things. First, DPSP are fundamental for the governance of a country. DPSPs are also called as, first point, constitutional instruction. State must follow all the things that are given in DPSP for carrying out governance for welfare and democratic nation. Here the word state is defined in Article 12 of the Indian Constitution. Clear? So this is case. What you have to remember about for DPSP? DPSPs are given in Part 4 of the Indian Constitution. They aims at establishment of a socio-economic democracy. Next important point about DPSP, they were given in Government of India Act 1935 in the form of instrument of instruction. These are the most important thing, right? Question number 2, economic justice. The objective of the Constitution has been as one of the Indian provided in the preamble and fundamental rights, the preamble and DPSP, that is Directive Principles of State Policy, the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy, none of the above. What is the correct answer? You have to choose the correct answer. Right. Here the correct answer is, it is preamble and DPSP. Right. Now where it is given in preamble, you must be remembering there are certain ideals before this state. The ideals are justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. In the word justice, we have to go for social, economic and political justice. Then what about DPSP? In DPSP, there is article number 38. This article number 38, what it says, I will just read out, listen to very carefully. Article 38 says to promote welfare of people by securing a social order permeated by justice, which is social, economic and political, and to minimize the inequalities of income, status, facilities and opportunities. So that's why B is the correct answer. The concept of economic justice or the term of economic justice has been mentioned in the preamble and directive principles of state policy. It is the second question. Now coming to third important question. Consider the following statements. It is first statement, Attorney General of India can take part in proceedings of the Lok Sabha. He can be a member of a committee of the Lok Sabha. He can speak in the Lok Sabha. He can vote in the Lok Sabha. Which of the statement given above are correct? Now just think on the question. Before that, I will give you the important article about Attorney General of India. Remember, Attorney General of India is mentioned in Article 76 of the Indian Constitution. First point, he is appointed by President of India. His emolument, salaries and allowances are decided by President of India. He is the highest law officer for the government of India. While being an Attorney General of India, he can go for private practice. Most important aspect of Attorney General, that is while being Attorney General of India, simultaneously he can go for private practice. Now we will go for what are the correct points. He can take part in proceedings of the Lok Sabha. Yes, it is correct. He can take part. He can be a member of committee of Lok Sabha. Yes, if he is appointed by Speaker of the Lok Sabha, he can be a part of committee of the Lok Sabha. He can speak in Lok Sabha also. Yes, both these three statements are correct, but he cannot vote in the Lok Sabha. Why? Voting in Lok Sabha or taking part in voting of the Lok Sabha is a parliamentary privilege, and only members of the parliament, that is only members of the Lok Sabha and only members of Rajya Sabha have the right to take part in voting of the Lok Sabha. So going by this method, only C, that is 1, 2, 3, these three are the correct statement, others are not correct statement. Clear? So you have to go for these things, right? Now next point, question. What will follow if a money bill is substantially amended by the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha may still proceed with the bill accepting or not accepting the recommendations of the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha cannot consider the bill further. The Lok Sabha may send the bill to the Rajya Sabha for reconsideration. The President may call a joint sitting for passing the bill. Now we will try to understand these three options. First option is correct. What is wrong in these last three options? See, the Lok Sabha cannot consider the bill further. It is not the case. Lok Sabha is the only house which has right to vote on money bill. Right? Right to vote on money bill. Rajya Sabha do not have right to vote on money bill. Rajya Sabha will not vote on money bill. Lok Sabha may send the bill to Rajya Sabha for reconsideration. No need. Why? Because Rajya Sabha do not have right to vote, so it is not necessary. President may call for a joint sitting. No, there is no provision for joint sitting. As Rajya Sabha does not have right to vote on money bill, it makes it very clear there is no provision for joint sitting. Some additional information about joint sitting. Joint sitting is called whenever there is disagreement between the two houses of parliament or between the two houses of state assembly. Joint sitting is called under Article 108 of the Indian Constitution. It is called by President of India. It is chaired by Speaker of the Lok Sabha. And final decision in that money bill is being taken, that joint sitting is being taken by the simple majority of all the members of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha present and voting. So this is the case. Now here Lok Sabha may still proceed with the bill accepting or not accepting the recommendations of the Rajya Sabha is the correct answer. Why? Rajya Sabha must send that bill back within 14 days. And if Rajya Sabha fails to send the bill back within 14 days, it will be considered as Rajya Sabha has the acceptance for that bill, and that bill is accepted to Rajya Sabha, and that bill will be accepted. Rajya Sabha do not have right to vote on money bill. Article for money bill is Article 110. Remember. Question number 5. Which one of the following statement is correct? In India, the same person cannot be appointed as governor for 2 or more states at the same time. Statement is wrong. Why? Because as per 7th Constitutional Amendment Act, same person can be appointed as a governor for 2 or more than 2 states. Then what about the expenditure for the governor? The expenditure for the governor shall be distributed between the states for which that person is acting as a governor as decided by the President of India. So expenditure shall be decided by President of India. This is given in 7th Amendment Act. 7th Amendment Act has another 4 important bits. First, it talks about governor, which says same person can act as a governor for 2 or more than 2 states. Second, it says same high court can act as a high court for 2 or more than 2 states. Third, 7th Amendment Act is related with State Reorganization Commission. And fourth, 7th Amendment Act has made a provision for Legislative Council for Madhya Pradesh, but it has not been implemented right now. Clear? So this is the case. So first statement is wrong. The judges of the High Court of States in India are appointed by governor of the states. Absolutely wrong. Judges are not appointed by governor of the state, but judges of the High Court are appointed by President of India, like Supreme Court. For judges of High Court, there is different article. For Supreme Court of India, there is Article 124. And judges of Supreme Court and High Court are appointed based on which procedure? Based on collegium system. Recently, Supreme Court had said all the discussions and deliberations in the collegium system will be made open to the Right to Information Act. So second statement is wrong. No procedure has been laid down in the Constitution of India for the removal of governor from his or her post. Yes, it is also a correct statement, right? There is no procedure has been given for removal of governor. Fourth statement, in the case of a union territory having a legislative setup, the chief minister is appointed by lieutenant governor on the basis of majority support. No, chief minister is appointed by President of India. This is the most important dimension. In case of Delhi, there is provision for 6 ministers plus 1 chief minister. Usually, the number of ministers having legislative assembly should not be less than 12 and should not be more than 15% of the strength of state legislative assembly. Try to keep these facts in mind. Question number 6. Consider the following statements. An amendment to the Constitution of India can be initiated by an introduction of bill in the Lok Sabha only. See again, here the word only comes. So whenever the word only or like these words comes, you can guess that there is some kind of miss is there. So here remember, a bill regarding amendment to the constitution can be introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. There is no limitation. It is limitation only about money bill, which says a money bill can be introduced in the Lok Sabha only, but it is not the limitation about this particular constitutional amendment bill. A constitutional amendment bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So the first statement is wrong. Amendment is given in Article 368 of the Indian Constitution. If such an amendment seeks to make changes in federal character of the constitution, the amendment also requires to be ratified by legislature of all states of India. Again, it is not about all states of India. Any constitutional amendment bill which tries to make changes in federal features or federal provisions of the constitution can be amended by special majority of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha with at least half of the state saying yes by simple majority. So second statement is also wrong. So about this thing, which one of the above are correct? Both are not correct, both are wrong. Then question number 7, which of the following bodies does not find mention in the constitution? National Development Council, no. Planning Commission, no. Zonal Council, no. So correct answer is 1, 2 and 3 only. Here always remember, there is always a question on zonal council. Zonal councils are statutory bodies which are formed by an act of parliament. Statutory bodies, they are formed through State Reorganization Commission Act of 1956. So remember, zonal councils are statutory institutions. Question number 8. The parliament can make any law for whole or any part of India for implementing international treaties. A. With the consent of all the states, with the consent of the majority of the states, with the consent of the states concerned, without the consent of the states. So correct answer is D. While making international treaties, it is not binding upon the Parliament of India to make a law with the consent of any state. It is given in Article 253. Remember, international treaty whatever article is, it is given in Article 253. Parliament can make a law for whole or any part of India regarding international treaties without the consent of any state. Our most important article is Article 253, and always there will be a question on Article 253. The next one, question number 9. The government enacted the Panchayat extension to scheduled areas PESA Act in 1996. Which one of the following is not identified as its objective? To provide self-governance, to recognize traditional rights, to create autonomous regions in the tribal areas, to free tribal people from exploitation. You have to choose the correct answer. So the correct answer is C. It is not the objective of Panchayat extension to scheduled areas. All other three are the objectives of scheduled areas. Basically, you can find this Panchayat extension to scheduled areas is one of the most favorite article of UPSC. You can find questions after almost every 1 or 2 years. I will just give you some few additional information about Panchayat extension to scheduled areas. Listen very carefully. The Indian Parliament passed the PESA Act in 1996. The prime objective of the PESA was establishment of tribal self-rule in the scheduled areas. Here remember, scheduled areas are given in 5th schedule of the Indian Constitution, right? Then PESA Act recognizes traditional rights of Adivasis such as ownership of minor forest produce, planning and management of minor water bodies, prevention of alienation of tribal lands and other such issues. It is an act which, if implemented, would address some of the most intractable problems of exploitation and marginalization of tribals in scheduled areas. So this is the most important piece of PESA that you have to keep in mind, and always the question is being asked, and try to remember these 3 important objectives of PESA, right? Question number 10. Who among the following constitutes the National Development Council? The Prime Minister, the Chairman Finance Commission, Minister of Union and Cabinet, Chief Ministers of the state. See here, the most important thing, Finance Commission Chairman is not a part of NDC. If he is not part of NDC, first A option is gone, C option is gone, and D option is gone. What remains? It is absolutely 1, 3 and 4, and which is correct answer. Always remember, Finance Commission, what is the article for Finance Commission? It is Article 280. So these are some of the important questions from polity. Again we will come with the next test. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.